seconds. So let's see here, popping up here. We should be live. Yep. Awesome, awesome. Real quick, guys. Let me see here. Thank you guys for joining us another Monday here on Operation 11 Charlie. Man, very, very busy weekend for Operation 11 Charlie. We are very excited to have Mike RC here with us, man. It's just incredible, bro. It's an honor to have you, man. Thank you for joining us, Mike.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
That's awesome, man. So we're gonna be talking to Mike soon as well, right? And then I'll talk about the whole weekend, man. That we were part of in the Texas Crawl Fest 2023, um, down in Candalia, Texas. Um, we want to talk a little bit about that, show a few pictures about that event, and just awesome weekend, man. Met new veterans and all that, good people out there. So Nathan, how was your weekend, brother?
Uh, it was awesome. Finally got to see Mario Brothers.
Oh, you
So
did?
yes. So that was fantastic. A little trip down nostalgia lane there. So but yeah, it was good. Family weekend kind of. So
I need to see that one. So don't be spoiling. No spoilers, bro.
no
No
spoilers.
spoilers.
Absolutely not.
Robert, how was your weekend, brother?
It was busy, mostly just painting, getting ready for Beat the Creek, that's coming up. I'm not gonna say how many days because
Thank you
I
so
got a
much.
lot to do still.
Really
So,
appreciate it, bro. It means a lot.
but other than that, man, it was all great. It was good.
Some awesome. Bennett, how about yourself, brother?
It was a short weekend, did a lot of driving, no RCing, but last week I brazed up my first bumper, so it was a good week.
Oh,
Nice.
nice, bro.
Right on, right on.
And I'm hooked now. One bumper in, and I've already put in another order to Scale Metal Supplies for a bunch more stuff.
That's what I love, Andre. All this stuff that you could do it yourself, stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How was that for you, Bennett? First time
You know,
doing
it's expensive to get into.
it. Okay.
By the time you buy, a nice bender, and you buy a vise, and you buy a grinder, and you buy the map gas, and you buy the torch, and you buy this, and you buy that, you're deep into it. But I'm not buying $40 bumpers that fit anymore.
That's big facts.
That's awesome, man. Awesome. Mike, how was your weekend, brother?
It was good. I can't complain. We were doing some prep work around the house for the fiance's birthday this upcoming weekend.
Awesome.
Did a bunch of yard work and stuff, and straightened up the basement here in preparation for tonight. So this way, show off some cool trucks and doesn't look like a bomb hit it, because a lot of times I get engulfed in a lot of projects and there's stuff everywhere. So we wanted to make sure that was straightened up for you guys.
It looks like I know a lot of people are wanting to see all that stuff, amazing stuff you have, brother. Definitely. Let me see here real quick. I want to talk about huge shout out to the guys there in Texas Crawl Fest 2023, guys. Like I mentioned earlier, we were there this weekend. And amazing guys, the guys from San Antonio RC Crawlers. Everybody that was involved in that event. Bruce that took care of us there, Jose and all the guys that help us out, make us feel welcome. So many people out there. Nick that took our guys to the trails. We have some veterans out there, new veterans that never had an RC in their hands before, man. So that was awesome. I was very, very excited for that. And a huge shout out to Nick. Thank you for taking the guys out. And then Gary, he was next to us too. He gave us 2 loaners, man, for the guys to use. And so it was amazing. Very special weekend for us out there. Our first time in an event in Texas. You guys know I was stationed in Fort Hood, Texas for 8 years, so it was It was good to be back there, hanging out with some friends that we were stationed together there. So, and they actually went with us to that event. So that was awesome, man. A lot of veterans in that event, a lot of active duty members, a couple of active duty members working that event, man. That was awesome, bro. That was awesome to see them there and all that stuff. Like one of them was telling us like, "Hey, Harry, I just got out of work on Friday, took out the uniforms, sitting right there on my passenger side. Seat you see laying down there just came straight to here, and they were working the trails, preparing the everything for the comp and all that stuff. They did an amazing job there. Huge shout out to them. Josh, RC every day was there. A lot of good people there. Sen was there. It's again, it was nice, where nice environment there. We loved it. Can't wait to go back there. And um, we were part of that show and shine, right? Nothing new on that, right? We were part of the show and shine, helping out there. Josh and all that stuff, all the guys out there, man. Like again, I enjoyed the time being there. We went there Friday to prep, and then Saturday was the event. It was supposed to be Saturday and Sunday, but Sunday was a bad weather. So I just want to say all the people there that give us an amazing support. We cannot thank you guys enough out there. We had a small booth there that our guys set up where we ate all that, and we did a raffle that these guys support us immensely. So huge shout out to our sponsors, Element RC, Rock Pirates RC, to make that bundle possible. And again, everybody out there from Texas Crawford that support that event. And the winner, man, he had a nice bundle there with that Element that Enduro the kit, the version 2. And then it was chassis rails from Rock Pirates, battery tray, some other goodies from Rock Pirates. So he has a nice setup there. Definitely. Real quick, I see Jeff, welcome in. Robert, thank you. John Martin, welcome in, brother. JNX, James, Adams Playground, thank you guys for being here. Let me see. Any news on the trail? Yes, yes. I gotta call you. We have actually. Let me show you some pictures. Here real quick. We got some pictures that we need to show. Let me see here. Something. Give me guys here for a second. Trying to get these pictures going, and it was a very special event as well. You guys for the out there, it was Trent, Nicole, and a lot of you guys know, right? It was Steve's mom, man. So it was very special. Can you guys see it? See the picture
Yep.
now? Okay.
Yep, it's up there.
So we had this Steve's mom, and it was awesome. When I saw her, I was just looking at Steve, man. At first, it's Steve, man, and it was very awesome. Had Miss Debbie out there with us and all day. Nicole, Steve's sister, Trent, Nicole, Steve's brother-in-law. They're both veterans. Steve's sister and her husband. We had Carlos, fellow veteran, and we served together in Fort Hood. And we had Renee, also from San Antonio, to serve as Army veteran. And it was another veteran. Jonathan actually was Marine veteran, was there as well. And some of the veterans that we met throughout the day that were hanging out with us. Some more picture there. There's Renee there, and Carlos. This was Show and Shine. Josh here. We were helping out, trying to help Josh out, trying to
Yep.
pick the winners for that there in Show and Shine. This is the bundle that we had there. That these people went out of the way to support Operation 11 Charlie like they always do, man. This was the actual event out there. Again, the San Antonio RC Crawlers, Alamo City and Alamo City Hobby Shop. Man, 110 scale RC. That's Gary was next to us, man. He's the one that loaned us those had those rig out there that we able to take our guys out there. So you shout out to them, man. Thank you so much. It means a lot to us. And make our guys feel welcome. That's the thing, man, for them to be comfortable and all that. Let me see here, and I think that's it on that, man. It was just incredible. Again, we had a blast in that. We'll be back. Definitely, we'll be back next year. There's a lot of veterans in that area, a lot of bases in that area. Just alone, we got Fort Hood in San Antonio, a lot of Air Force bases, Army bases all over Texas. So there's a huge veteran community out there. So that was very awesome. And I think, let me see here. I think we have something that Mr. Rob. Now we're gonna move on to the next event. Please don't, people in the chat, don't behave yourself. I don't want to know how many days. And Dennis is there. I bet you he's gonna write it.
Oh yeah, it's definitely.
I know he's already waiting to type them down. Let me see here. Trying to show where they put the picture. Oh, found them. This right. This is a 10-3, right? It's a basic 10-3. Nate, Rob.
Base camp.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a base camp.
Base
Okay.
camp. It
Base
is
camp.
stock except for the paintwork.
So you guys gonna see this. It's just incredible what
You mean
Robert
it come out of the box like that?
Looks awesome.
No.
I guess I
Looks
gotta talk
awesome.
to Axel.
No.
So you guys see it?
Yep. Yeah. It looks great.
So this is Rob's work. Rob, if you can explain a little bit while I show the pictures, brother.
Yeah. So I keep these, these paint schemes or patterns or a set of colors. And this one is, I call this Star Wars Endor. So this is a color combination that I use basically that inspires me when I go to do a paint job. And it's all the colors that you'll find in that movie that really just brightens everything up. And I wanted to give it just a slight bit, almost like a comic book feel to the paint job, with all the shading and light rust marks and everything. But that's pretty much it. It's just it started off as a gray body.
Okay.
And then I just worked my magic on top of it.
Looks awesome.
It looks
awesome.
incredible.
Yeah, you did fantastic, man.
Yes.
It was definitely a lot of fun.
Definitely, brother. And so this rig right here, this rig is going to be raffled at Beat the Creek, right?
Yep.
There's gonna be a few raffles going on out there at Beat the Creek. Shout out to everybody. This specifically, this rig is gonna be with Rob and Robert's booth out there. We'll have our raffle that we have from Scale Metal Supplies. We'll be raffling off in our booth. We've got some other stuff that we have going on that week gonna be the Creek. So we're looking forward for that. It's gonna be awesome. And I think now I remember I was gonna reply to James. I know you asked about the chair. Yes, we are gonna coordinate on the track chair. Huge shout out to the Marine Outdoor program, another nonprofit that donated a track chair for Operation 11 Charlie. So when we have our events, we have something available for any of our guys that are in need of a track or a chair, wheelchair. But this one is going to help them go out to the trails with us. So it's awesome. So the track chair is in San Antonio, and we have one of our veterans from the Fort Benning area. He's going to go pick it up. And somewhere in Louisiana, they're going to meet up with a Texas guy. Then they're going to haul it to somewhere in the corner of Florida. Then that we got a coordinator here for JNXRC, James Group for him to pick it up. So we're looking very excited for that. I just want to say we're on that chair because it's gonna help us out tremendously, especially our guys, right? That
Mhm.
are not mobile, and this is just incredible on that. I think that's it. What else? Let me see real quick. And James Hobbies, welcome in, brother. Frank, welcome in. Adams Playground, if I miss anybody on the chat, thank you guys for being here. Like I said, Dennis is here. Crawlers RC, One Lacos RC, Ross, welcome in, brother. Um, awesome. Let me see here. I think that's it. Anything else I forgot to mention, Nate, that before we go to a special guest, Mike?
I think we got it covered.
Jeff wants to know, since he won a bunch of stuff, that he can't play for 30 days.
Oh man.
Let me tell you something, right? Why he won that
He
Gen
won the
9.
Gecko Trails Night Runner. He
Jeez.
won the Mini Capra, and now he won the Gen 9.
Wow.
I'm telling you, bro.
I'm just gonna PayPal him my money and have him
Right?
play waffles for me.
And let me tell you
Speaking
something,
of-
bro. This guy, right? He's just incredible. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You gonna say something, Nate?
Oh, just real quick. I know you were talking about Rock Pirates. They released
Yes.
some brand new the Kraken Pro chassis, and that thing looks sweet. Has the graphics, laser finished into it. Yeah.
I saw the picture. Yes, I saw. Is that I haven't seen it. I was there, of course. Is it carbon fiber or is metal?
It's metal.
It's
That's
metal.
metal.
That's awesome,
Yep.
man. That is awesome. Huge shout out to them, man.
Yeah. It's definitely awesome.
Yes. Let me see here. I think that's it. Right. Be the Creek guys again in a few weeks. I want it to be a month, but it's not a month. So
Not even 2 weeks at this point. It's
Oh.
closing in on us.
man. So
All right,
looking
Nate, you're
forward-
fired.
Ah,
looking forward out
can't-
there. We're gonna have around 20 of our guys out there, so I'm very excited about that. Angie, welcome in. Good to see you. Good to see you, Angie. I think that's it, guys. I cannot stress enough how special was this weekend. I'm tired, a lot of pain, all that stuff, but it was this weekend was worth it, especially meeting those veterans for the first time, hanging out with them, Daniel Robles, Carlos, all the other guys, Jonathan, everybody else out there. And also meeting Steve's mom. It was very special. Of course, and see Nicole and Trent. So it was just incredible. We had an amazing weekend, very special weekend, man. Very special weekend. And I think that's it, guys. So now let's go to a special guest, Mike, man. Let me see here. I'm gonna be while you talk, Mike, and you introduce yourself so people will know
Sure.
a little bit about Mike. When you start on the hobby, all that stuff, what Mike does. Everything.
Okay.
Go ahead, my
Sure.
brother. Welcome.
All right. So Mike Lohmann. I'm from Long Island, New York. And I run Mike's RC World, which is really just like for me to showcase the collection that I've developed over almost 30 years now. I originally started Mike's RC World just to kind of separate my personal life from the RC stuff. This way I could show the RC stuff without divulging too much of myself. So I've been in the hobby it's almost 30 years. I started the time clock from when I got my first hobby grade RC, which was at 9, which was a Tamiya Blackfoot that was gifted to me from my stepdad, Jeff. Before that, I had a Tyco Bandit, which some of you guys might remember if you've been around for a minute or two. That was the little red Nissan hard body truck that they sold like in Toys R Us and stuff. And since then, the collection now. I forgot. I usually like to do a count because it's kind of always forever changing within like, I don't know, I guess maybe like plus or minus like 5 or 10 models. But I think the last count was like in the 130s, cars and trucks.
Wow.
So yeah, so yeah, I got a couple.
You count and plus or
That's why
minus
Jeremy
seconds.
isn't on.
Yeah, he shut. So I made your safe travel. He's traveling with work, so that's
Yeah. Isn't he on his way down here?
no. I forgot, either he's in Colorado somewhere else. He's in another state. Yep.
Gotcha.
Go
Sorry.
ahead, go ahead, Mike. Sorry.
Is it a mic
No,
thing?
no,
to
no.
have a
Listen,
lot of RCs?
all good. I'm sorry. What was that?
It must be a mic thing to have a lot of RCs because I believe Mike Kirby has a huge collection like that. Well,
He does. So Mike's collection actually probably trumps mine by, I'm gonna say Mike's probably got 3 or 4 times what I have. The only thing I'll say different probably from mine to Mike's is that Mike's also buying up big lots of just everything. Where like he might go there might be like a lot of something, and in that lot there's like that one gem, but the person's not willing to sell just that. Like they want to get rid of all of it, and like there might be
Right.
some like some useless like nitro truck from 20 plus years ago that's not really worth
Right.
anything. But also in that stockpile is like a Blazing Blazer, which is like a $3,500 vintage Tamiya truck. So
Yeah.
he has a lot of stuff. He does have some pretty rare and unique stuff. Mike's one of those guys that'll occasionally reach out to me from time to time to kind of like I guess almost like a price check, if that makes sense. Like guys will reach out to me, they know I've been
Yeah.
around for a long time, and I've got a little bit of knowledge up in this noggin, and they'll be like, oh, like this is from a time period of stuff that you're into, what's A, B, and C, or like they might ask like what aluminum wheels are these or something like that. So I keep in touch with Mike. I like Mike and Amber, all of them. They're good people, and obviously they their hardware is good stuff. I run that on the trucks and everything. So yeah, he's definitely, but he's probably the one of the people that definitely his collection definitely trumps mine.
That is so awesome.
enviable.
Yes. Real quick, I want to say welcome, Outpost RC. Welcome in. Eric Allen, welcome in. RC Supremacy in the house. Welcome in, brother. Good to see you here. Matt, welcome, Matt. Matt K. So go ahead, brother. Go ahead, Mike.
So I guess I'm trying to think what else I could tell you guys. So yeah, I mean, I've been into it for a long time. I've traveled a good portion of the country for events and stuff. I mean, I wish I could do more, but it's hard with work. But my 2 main things that I try to do is I try to go to UST. I've been at every UST since its inception. That's my that is definitely my go-to event. Robin and Panda are amazing people. I mean, all the Florida people are. Their whole crew, Corey, Kevin Lou, all those guys. I mean, they're all fantastic people. Joy. I mean, I don't even think I could name everyone. That whole Florida crew is just they're great and amazing people. They're my kind of people. But yeah, the Florida event is huge. I feel like that's I get to see all my East Coast buddies, and that event is kind of what I'm more about when it comes to this hobby. I'm definitely more about the dollhouse truck side, which was a term actually coined from yours truly, because over the years I've been known to ruffle some feathers when it comes to scale rules and things. I get a little outspoken from time to time. And but yeah, so I like to do UST. That's my go-to. It's definitely one of my jams. And then I was doing Axial Fest for a while to see my West Coast buddies. In particular, my buddy Dean. He goes by Chino 63 from like the old RC crawler days. And Dean and I have been friends for a long time now, both as internet friends and then just in person in real life. I used to own Dean's old Toyota pickup truck because I'm big avid full-size car and truck enthusiast. So I try to I was going out there to see all those guys. And then what we ended up doing is when they stopped doing Axial Fest at the campground. I'm drawing a blank on the name
Donner's,
of it right now.
not
Right now.
Donner's, the one before Donner's. Yeah, the one
Yeah, it
before.
was. I'm looking at my my lanyard things here, but I'm drawing a blank on it. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It was at the campground, and that was a great spot because you camp and didn't break the bank with staying in a hotel. And then when they changed it that year, it's tough. You know, it's expensive, especially like for me. Like I'm flying from one side of the country to the other, and the flights aren't cheap and all that stuff. So what we ended up doing is we actually do our own little gathering now. We call it Chino Fest off of Dean's forum name. And this year will be the third year of it. And really what it's become is it's an invite only thing. And it's basically kind of like a group of the more like OG like RC crawler guys from when
Cisco
like
Grove.
this
Cisco Grove.
yeah,
Yep,
Cisco
Cisco
Grove. That's
Grove.
it. Yep.
Thank you, Rob.
So like, now so I go out there and get together with those guys and that's a good time. And the terrain on the West Coast is really
Yes.
second to none. I mean, I was
Yes.
last year we went to the Rubicon and drove tiny trucks. We went to this spot called Prison Hill, which was like I guess like the Nevada California border. That was an awesome spot. And then we go out to the coast and we hit the Bean and stuff. So those are my two must do events. And this way I can kind of see my West Coast buddies and I can see my East Coast buddies. And I would love to do more. It's just tough with all the things that I'm into between the collection and then the full size cars, and I have to work hard in order to fund that. I know we were talking a little bit earlier about working overtime and stuff. So it's tough. I would love to do more, but it's hard and like any hobby, it's expensive and stuff. So I do what I can, and I'm very fortunate. The fiance is super supportive of it. And she's into it now. She went her first time last year, and she got hooked on it right away because she loves to hike. So it kind of combines her jam with my jam. It's hiking, but you're driving a tiny truck while doing it. So we got her her own custom truck for this year. Westmade did a fantastic Volkswagen thing body, and we built that up on a GCM chassis. And so she, speaking of this year, so big shout out to Rob and Amanda and the whole Florida crew. Ashley, who's my fiance, she wasn't going to be actually able to come this year. And they did a great thing, and they got her there for me as like a big surprise, which I don't think really too many people in the event knew about. But like I said, super great people, super generous people. I stay at Rob's every year to help me out with costs and stuff, and and obviously I help out with whatever they need, and all that stuff. It's a one hand washes the other, but that's what it should be all about. So great people. So yeah, those are the two events. And then I'm an RC four drive team driver. I am their longest running team driver.
Wow.
I was there on the RCMT Easy Board forums, which was their radio control monster truck network, when Hewis started the company back in like 2001. He had bought a really nice custom Mountaineer, and he came on the forum, and he had like a Mountaineer and I think like a Clodbuster or a Juggernaut or two, and he was looking for like basically like aftermarket support. And at the time, the vintage 3-speeds, the Tamiya Mountaineers and Brews and stuff were discontinued for so long. There wasn't anyone making anything for him, and those trucks were super expensive to buy back then. And he ended up he was like, I want aluminum wheels for this. I want this. I want that. He actually ended up going to a company that was called JPS, who was they were actually technically a motorcycle manufacturer, but they had an RC side of it. And he ended up getting them kind of revamping their RC line and creating aluminum parts. Before then, he, I think, took things back home, overseas to just have stuff made, just because it's it's cheaper and stuff. And but yeah, I've been testing parts for them for literally since probably 2001, 2002, and then I was officially made, I think, a team driver back in about 2000. 2008 maybe or something like that.
Wow.
So I've been with them for quite a long time. And then I'm also a GCM tiny trucker. Chris and Dana, another two of my favorite people. Love all that. The whole Canadian group, they're all a bunch of great people too. Chris and Dana, though, especially Dana and I click really well because he's an old school like Tamiya guy. He appreciates the vintage stuff and all that. So I love getting to see those guys, and obviously I get to see them down in Florida. So yeah, I've been on the GCM team for a couple of years now. And then obviously I have, over the years I've had, other random support where maybe it's not been something like necessarily on an official level. But Bauhaus RC has always been, very good to me.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. They've always, hooked me up and helped me out. Helios batteries, for sure. Another great company. I run, probably the majority of my batteries nowadays is all Helios. And then I guess I do a lot of sometimes I'll do some weird, I don't know if dabbling is the right word, or consulting. I've done stuff like that for J Concepts, with Richard and stuff like that. I think people, it's nice to know that I guess people at this point, I guess value my opinion to a degree, which when I think of myself in terms of the hobby, I don't necessarily think of myself as being a big name or somebody in comparison to say someone like Josh, Harley Designs, or even Josh Dunn, RC Every Day. I don't necessarily think I have that type of following, but I have been around for quite some time. And I guess I've earned that, respect maybe, or something like that. So it's nice to, when someone will hit you up from a manufacturer or something, and say, hey, we're working on this, would you mind giving us some input? And I have no problem. I mean, listen, I'm just one person's opinions, and you know what they say about opinions, we'll keep it PG, but so either way, that's cool. I've always thought that was kind of neat. But yeah, I'm just a diehard enthusiast. Been doing it for a long time. And the RC stuff definitely led into the full size car and truck stuff. And I'm big into that as well. If you guys want to know about that, we could talk about that too. So wherever you guys want to take it, you tell me.
Definitely. Everything you want to show us out there. So real quick, hey, Robert, they're talking about you out there. Eric.
Snag, man.
Eric.
I'm working.
Welcome, Eric, bro. RC Patina guy. Eric, welcome in, my brother. Angie, Larry. Let me see here. I miss anybody. Our family from Sergeant J is in the house. One of our guys out there in Colorado, radioactive guys from Canada. Thank you guys for being here. If I missed anybody, apologize, guys. Welcome to welcome, Chris. Thank you for being here with us. Real quick. So, guys, here on the chat, if you have any question for Mike, feel free. We'll pass it along to Mike. Right, all that, and definitely, Mike, talking about you when you travel, that's still the same stuff that we do. Our guys taking our guys to different locations and different terrains, different environments,
Yeah.
man. We relate to that. Our guys, especially us, new into the hobby. I've been here 4 or 5 years now. Some of our guys are just months or a couple of years now, but man, that like you said, our guys here from Florida, our family, Robert and Amanda, everybody from UST,
Great people.
Great people, man. We appreciate Rob, fellow veteran, Amanda, Joe, everybody. Those they work their butts off, making sure that event goes as it goes. Those trails, man, it's just incredible.
Ton of work.
Not only the work, but the amount of heart just and like what they did for you, just they're full of love. It's awesome.
They really are. They're great. They're just fantastic people. I really can't speak highly enough of that whole crew down there. I mean, they're all just fantastic people. Really are.
Our guys, our veterans that were at that Crawfest event in Texas. Again, first time being there, they seen RC but never had one close by or touching whatever, and they were impressed when we were doing the show and shine how scale it was. And then Trent and I were talking about USD. You haven't seen, bro. You want to see the scale stuff? you got to go check this event because it's just incredible how much stuff you can do to this RC and this hobby, and relate to all the stuff that it's just incredible. I mean, the immense talent you guys have, like yourself, Mike, and
Thank you. Appreciate it.
it just their minds were blown away. Oh my God. Like one of our guys, Daniel, he was saying, I was watching a video. Oh yeah, I saw this Jeep going down the hill, blah blah blah. Saw stuff flying out of the Jeep, and I was like, oh my God, that guy's gonna die, man. And all of a sudden at the end, I said, bro, this is an RC. He was just shocked. I couldn't believe it, man. How scale this stuff. I said, tell you, bro, it's just incredible. And then go to our guys from the West Coast, like you said, man, just different terrain, different environment,
Yeah.
man,
Yep.
just incredible how this hobby it is. It's just incredible, man. Let me see. Nate, guys here on the panel, any question for that you guys have for Mike? And I'm ready for him to start.
I'm waiting for the
I
tour.
was going to say,
I'm waiting for
All
the
right.
tour.
the chat's just going to get nuts here. Speaking of overtime, Mike's going to be on it tonight. Wait till he shows this. So, yep.
All right. Well, we could hang on. Let me unplug the phone here.
So
And,
guys, just follow along, Mike. He's gonna show some
right.
some stuff here.
okay, so everything is kind of down in the basement. I'll show you guys a quick little snippet over here. This is like an overflow at the moment.
Let me
So
just
over
say-
here, you can kind of see Ashley's thing. This is her new rig that we built for her for USTE this year. West Bay did the body. He did a
Nice.
fantastic job. And
Love
then we've talked about like how I love to collect stuff. So this FJ Cruiser here, this is a part of my noob truck. Rich is a personal friend of mine. We've four-wheeled real trucks together. We're both like old school BMX riders, and Rich is one of my all-time favorite scale builders. And he's a Toyota guy like me. We're both big Toyota nuts. And over the years, I've managed to collect many of Richard's pieces, and I kind of keep them. I don't know if preserve's the right word, but I basically keep them from getting ruined while also still enjoying them myself, because that's kind of happened in some cases before where he's, these trucks take, hundreds of man hours to build, and obviously if you sell it, it's not yours anymore, but you don't want to see like your hard work ruined. So like, for example, like this Iron Pig up here, this had gotten sold at one point, and the joke was that it got submerged. Literally like sank into like a river. So he wasn't too thrilled about that. And then it bounced around, and I finally was able to get it back. And it's actually apart right now because I'm doing like a GCM scale driveline and stuff in it.
Okay.
And then on the very end here, when we talk about like vintage stuff, this was a pretty cool bruiser that I found on eBay that came with like a bunch of like cool vintage parts. And it's got like a tilt hood set up on it, and you can see the doors off of it and the bed tilts. So that's one of those like long-term projects that I haven't quite gotten to yet. But let's go on with the rest of it, and then if you guys see something that you like that you want to talk more about, just let me know. But I'll just kind of point things out, and you just can kind of tell me, what you guys want to talk about. Obviously, we've got the two rad.
Oh yeah.
This,
Nice.
that's kind of like my staple of builds right now. This was another cool eBay find. This was, it's a CC01 custom stretched, extended cab, Blackfoot body and stuff. This one was done by Sally Customs, full custom body and chassis and all that stuff. This is my infamous Blue Lux. This truck was built back in 2008, and even at the very first USTE, which when you think about it, it was really not that long ago, it still managed to win best detail. So that was pretty cool. So this truck was kind of, I guess, when I built it, I kind of built it ahead of its time. It's got like working gauges, and it has brake lines in it. I was doing a lot of stuff that, I guess people do now that is, I guess, the norm, but like I was kind of doing that, years ahead. And like the joke I make now is I'm kind of more of like a has-been than anything else, because the skill level has come so far. It's like far surpassed me. This was a infamous Jeep build from like the RC crawler days. This guy, I think his username was like SCR 3100, but he built this LJ and another custom one. And they were always like favorites of mine. So I was able to obtain that for my collection. And then again, like I don't look at myself as being like a huge influence on the hobby, but I guess sometimes I am more than I know. So this was a build that I did around the same time as the Blue Lux, and this was modeled off of a real truck called the Atomic Toy. And you can see there's two of them because it inspired another member from RC Crawler to replicate my build, which was pretty cool. So he
That is
built
awesome.
a replica of my truck, of a replica of a real truck. So that was kind of cool. And then he ended up, I keep in touch with him through Instagram and stuff, and he was going to part with it. And he was like, are you interested? I'm like, yeah, it's actually pretty cool to have both of them. So
Yeah.
I scooped that. This was my 4-door build for UST from a couple years back. This was like a super dollhouse truck. I went like all out with this thing. Like the snorkel was actually literally like attached like in a functional way underneath the hood to the intake box and stuff. Lighted gauges, brake lines, flocked interior, every light lights up on it. Up in the bed, there's like a chainsaw that I actually like sawed wood to like, put like wood filings and stuff in there.
Oh
So
man.
that's stuff. This is a pretty cool vintage, full CCP, which was a company back in the early 80s. Well, not early 80s, like probably like late 80s, early 90s. It was called Custom Chrome Parts. So that's a lunchbox. It's a full chrome kit, and it's got vintage C's precision aluminum wheels. And then I guess probably something I skipped over earlier is, I guess if you guys wanted to know what my all-time favorite RC truck is, and
Yes.
that's the Tamiya Clodbuster. So
Yeah,
I'm a
yeah.
huge Clodbuster nut, and we've got a bunch here. So like I'll show you guys this one. This is like a work in progress. And this is a replica of the old school Nightmare monster truck
Oh yeah.
that I'm trying to do up as accurate as possible. And this is the same thing: tilt hood, tilt
Wow.
bed, all that stuff. This is
Oh,
another
man.
vintage Clod that I threw together recently. So Palmer Hemi. It's got a red sassy chassis with a rare PDI Bennett cantilever kit on it. It's got Steez aluminum wheels. Over here we've got a custom Mountaineer, and this is actually painted by a guy that used to paint for RC Car Action magazine called Motion Graphics, and he's probably one of my all-time favorite painters ever. And I tracked this truck down pretty much purely by accident, and it had such a nice paint job on it, and I didn't know that he painted it until I got it. And I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but on the license plate it actually has his decal, and it says Motion Graphics, and then it's, he signs the inside of his bodies when he paints them. So that was really cool. And my all-time favorite RC ever is actually this Clodbuster here, which I call the Purple People Eater. I've had this truck for, it's going to be over 20 years. So this is one of the longest running trucks in my collection. Aluminum wheels, tilt bed, aluminum roll bar. This particular truck actually had a pretty cool showing in Car Action. So that was pretty rad. Car Action was looking for like monster trucks, and it made it in there. And so did this one. This is from another issue, and that truck is down here in the case.
Sick.
And then the one next to it here is another custom one. This one also got magazine time, and this is another one of the Richard Motion Graphics bodies that was done. So super rad body. And then this buggy here, this was actually done by a guy named Tim Miner, who went by, you can see on the windshield there, it says King Cobra. So Tim and I were members of our Scale 4x4 RC, and Tim was one of my all-time favorite builders, just like ever. He could build anything. It didn't, whether it was a scale truck, a monster truck, a drift car. Tim was just a fantastic builder, and unfortunately he got cancer, and it was terminal, and he passed away, and it was super upsetting. It was a huge loss to the hobby, in my opinion. And he had built so many really rad like cars and trucks, and I was kind of worried that like we didn't really know what happened to him. And then his son had popped up on the forums, and it kind of turned out that we thought that he had them, but wasn't really active. And then years later, he came back on and he actually had everything. And he was getting into full size cars. He was into Subarus, which at the time I was big into Subarus. I had a STI swapped WRX, and I ended up like befriending him and helping him get the car like squared away. And I was able to buy pretty much the majority of his dad's collection, which is some of the pieces that I hold as like the utmost value in my collection. So that particular Sand Scorcher Beetle, that was one of them. And I'll show you some of the other ones then when we get around. So continuing on over here, we've got, you guessed it, more Clodbusters.
Awesome.
Not
More
to interrupt,
Clod-
Mike, but there was
Yeah.
a question on roughly how many RCs do you have, and roughly how many of them are functional?
So I think the count is somewhere in the mid 130s. And I'm going to say that probably maybe like 60 to 70% are actually functional. There was a point in time where a lot of them weren't, but we're so fortunate now with like Hobby Wing speed controllers, and like Holmes Hobbies has the cheap like 540 Sport Tune can motors for like
Yeah.
$10, and
Mhm,
like those
mhm.
cheapy
Yeah.
Amazon servos that everyone loves. So I've actually over the last probably like 5 years now, I've really gone and tried to get a lot of stuff running. There's some things that I will not run. I'll be 100% honest like with you
Right.
guys with that. So like, for example, like, so being a full size car guy, I have this really weird obsession with RC drag cars, which I don't know if any of you guys have done RC drag racing. You would think like, oh, all you gotta do is go straight. It is one of the hardest segments of RC I've ever done. I tried it. Like I put together like a really awesome Traxxas car, and I was awful at it. And I crashed it, and I was like, all right, I gotta stick to going slow and just monster trucks, because this going straight thing is not for me. But for example, so like I have a bunch of custom drag cars here. This body was actually in RC Car Action as an advertisement body. This is a vintage laser light car. Both these actually are. This body was painted by Ultra Hive, and then this body was actually a replica of a motion graphics body. This car was actually the car itself was in RC Model Car magazine, which is another vintage RC magazine back in the day. My friend Dan owned the car, like the laser light chassis, but he bought it, and at the time the guy wouldn't part with the body from it. So what I ended up doing was my friend Brian from Space Coast Custom, he's a fantastic airbrush artist, and I actually had him paint me a replica of the body. So that's another, really cool piece. It's just like it was in the magazine. And obviously something like this, like if you know anything about drag cars, like, one wrong pull of the trigger and, your drag car is no longer pretty looking. So the drag cars is not something I'm going to run. And plus a lot of them they're in magazines, or they're just worth too much money to risk, something like that. They're vintage, and they're not going to work. Like these are all like, like pan car chassis, like, they're not going to work. They don't have suspension and like where you could tune things like a Traxxas car would or something like that. So they're not going to, work like you would for competitive drag racing. But yeah, so hopefully that kind of answers the question. A good portion of stuff runs now. And then there are just some things like I won't run. Primarily that would probably be the drag cars mostly. Most of the scale truck stuff I do run. Like obviously I don't like to, beat on my stuff or like the stuff like Richard built. But yeah, like, so again, some more drag cars that I probably won't ever run. These are also vintage cars, custom painted bodies, JPS aluminum wheels. This was one of my new builds for UST this year. This is based off of an Element truck. So it's got the IFS kit in the front, and it's got a tilt bed and everything.
Nice.
If you haven't been able to tell already, I'm a huge old school, like 80s, 90s Jamboree style truck fan. This is the very famous Chino clone truck. Now, if people do know who I am and remember who I am from RC Crawler, there's some people that credit this this particular truck and Dean's truck because it was a clone of Dean's truck, which I own Dean's truck too now as well. But this is a truck that a lot of people credit with like sparking like the scale side of the hobby. This truck tested a lot of parts for a lot of different things. And it has still like a lot of, it's actually still technically a bruiser. So it's got modified bruiser axles in it. The rear is narrowed and custom fitted for 12mm hexes. The front has a custom set of C's on it. So it actually still has bruiser axles in it. The armor and stuff I built, Dean and I actually built the front bumper together. The snorkel was actually from a guy called Stefan from Germany. It was a company called Scale Off-Road. And he had made this handmade, like hand molded fiberglass resin Jeep Cherokee body back in like 2007. Stefan made like crazy stuff, like unbelievable, super talented guy. Unfortunately, no one knows what happened to him. It was rumored that he might have passed, but this snorkel was actually from like then. So like this truck was built in 2000 and maybe tail end of 2005, 2006. And obviously, like, you know, to the average everyday scale guy now, it's like, oh, it's just another TF2, but it's like so much more than that. Truck's got a ton of history. This truck's been to so many states. It's like, it's ridiculous. It used to like go everywhere with me. Like anytime I went to an event, it would go places with me. So you got those. You got another Richard creation here on the end, a really cool Land Cruiser that he did. This is a fully scratch built body. This is one of those, you know, cool, like, you know, like China bodies that you can get on an RC Model X chassis. This is actually one of my stepdad's trucks. So I guess I kind of brushed over before. The person that really got me into the hobby was my stepfather, Jeff. And basically what happened is when my mother and him got together as like an icebreaker, he came over knowing that I was into RC and to like, you know, kind of formally introduce himself to my brother and I. And he brought over his trucks. And I thought I was like really cool because I had the Tyco Bandit and I didn't think there was anything more rad than that until he came over with, I'll show you guys down here. He came over with his Tamiya Midnight Pumpkin and an original Tamiya, you know, wheelie Pajero. And then over here, this is actually a Marui Big Bear. So that's another really cool, like little Datsun hard body truck.
Mm-hmm.
And he came over, you know, and to do RC stuff with me. And anyone that's owned one of those old Tycos knows that, you know, it took 4 hours for the battery to charge and it lasted for about 2 minutes. And his had, you know, the 15-minute crank charger. And I was like blown away by this. I was like, oh my God, you could just charge the battery in 15 minutes. And, you know, and then shortly after that introduction, he let me drive his pumpkin. And I've told this story numerous times and I always laugh about it and think back about it, but it was on like a stick controller. And obviously the Bandit had a pistol style controller. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And he hands me the controller. He's like, you know, it's a lot faster than yours. And as he's like, you know, trying to do like the parental thing of like explaining this, I mashed the throttle on this thing. It, you know, hits the wheelie bar like 12 o'clock and just goes flying across the street and blasts the curb. And blows the front bumper off of it. And like he was into like scale stuff. So he had like extra little KC lights on the bumper, like the one light like completely ejected and went like flying. And I'm standing there like in the street, like, oh my God, he's going to kill me. So yeah, so I credit all of you know, this stuff is you know, because of my stepdad. He was huge into it, and you know, him and my parents supported it. And it's, you know, festered into this now. So yeah, that's that. So yes, we got another surprise, another vintage Cloudbuster. We got a Black Stallion monster truck, you know, TXT Juggernaut based. You have another really cool Cloudbuster. It's got like this was painted by a guy called Apollo. He actually didn't paint RC bodies. He painted like normal like canvas art stuff. And somehow I guess someone brought him this body, and it's actually like a scene from like a scenery spot of like Lake Tahoe, apparently. So that was a really cool truck. And then I love theme builds, like, you know, like I was like the Twister truck or like, you know, two rads like an 80s like show truck thing. So needless to say, my inner kid comes out. So we've got like a full Batman, like custom airbrush Batman body.
That
That
is
is
awesome.
sick.
And then, you can't just have one of those. So, and because that one's a Ford. So of course we got to have it on a Clodbuster because we love Clodbusters here. So, yeah. So you might be noticing a theme here. Clodbuster, Clodbuster, Clodbuster. So another cool buy is like a Michigan Ice Monster that I've been working on. So that's pretty cool. This truck here is actually a legit, like 100% accurate replica of my real 85 Toyota pickup that's in the backyard that I four wheel. And even like people always like, oh, you broke the bob section off the bed, you didn't fix it. I'm like, no, because the real truck I got that section ripped off and I never welded it back on. So everyone's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, so that's exactly what the truck looks like in the backyard right now.
That is cool, bro.
That
is
other
awesome.
orange Jeep that I showed you guys earlier, this is the same builder. He built this one as well. Another part of my noob truck. So, we talk about Clodbusters, so it's like noob built, noob built, noob built, noob built. What else is new built? Oh, noob built. Yeah, so bunch of part of my noob stuff. These are a couple of new trucks that I built for UST this year. I always like to come up with like, names like they did like for the 80s show trucks. So we've got Sub-Zero, and then we've got Northern Nightmare. This was another fan favorite just as of more recently. I picked this up while I was down at UST from Ant. I've wanted this truck since he first had it at UST. I used to have an OBS Ford. And I saw that he was gonna be parts and stuff. I hit him up right away. I was like, you getting rid of that white Ford? He was like, actually, I am. And I was like, dude, I gotta have that. So grabbed that, did a couple little things to it, and that's good to go for the shelf. Obviously, more Clodbusters, surprise. So here's some cool stuff down here too. So these are some Tamiya semi trucks. It's probably kind of hard to tell, but there's a cab over, a globe liner, and then a King hauler. And what happened was my mom bought those for my dad's, like my stepdad's, I don't know if it was his 30th birthday or his 40th birthday, one of the two. And what happened was she bought the one off eBay, and then the guy listed the other one. And when she bought it, she was like, oh man, like she bought the one, I think she bought the conventional cab first, and then he posted the cab over, and she was like, I don't know which one he's gonna want. So she bought them both. And her plan was like, all right, I'll let him pick the tractor he wants and then the trailer he wants, because one had the tanker and the other was the box. But my stepdad's, he's a super slick guy. So needless to say, he took him right to work, and he painted them with like a base coat, clear coat automotive paint job. And he painted them to match. And then my mom's dog, his name was Kuma. So he put Kuma Pup Trucking, Ridge, New York. And now it's a trucking fleet. You can't just get rid of one truck. You have a trucking fleet with only one truck. So needless to say, those are both here now. And this is one, this is actually the world's worst RC truck ever made. This is the MRP High Roller. And if you've ever like gone back and looked through old RC car action magazines, this was an RC truck made by I think it was MRC or something like that. And it actually, it's got what they call like a bathtub chassis. It was actually an IFS suspension, and it floated. That was the big thing behind it. And these trucks are super like collectible, but also super awful. Like there was one recently, I think last year, it went for like $3,500 on eBay, and it wasn't even like as nice as this one. So like super sought out the truck, and me just reliving my childhood of like reading the magazines growing up. I had to have one of those. My friend Dan had it, and I bought it from him. And then obviously I couldn't just, it's got to live on the shelf, because if you look at this thing wrong, it might break. That's how awful it is. But I did have to see if it would float, and it did, and it didn't sink. So that was a huge home run. And then hang on, we'll see what other stuff we have here. Oh, this is another really awful RC truck. This is a Varicom Big Grizzly, another really, really terribly made RC truck. But obviously, that was actually my stepdad's. That was one of his earlier ones. But yeah, so it's funny. Like people are like, "Oh, I don't know what this is." And I'm like, "I know what that is." I'm like, "I got one of those. It's awful, but it's in there. It's in the collection." This is the Dean's truck. This is the original Scout Crawler. So when I think of like Scale RC and like what started it all, I think of Dean's truck here, as I credit this everything that we have now with like Scale RC. I based off this truck, and what hooked me is when he took this truck. It's a little bit different than it is now, but it was the same color tan and stuff, modified bruiser chassis, and had TLT axles at the time. And he took it to the Bean, and his friend Dustin shot like video of it. And at the time, we didn't have like 1.9s or 1.55s or any of that stuff. So he actually had like he had 2.2s. I think they were like Blitzer Beetle wheels, which looked like D-Wagon wheels or whatever. And he had like custom cut down narrowed like masher tires on it to like make it look more accurate. And I was like, oh man, I need a truck like that. That's the most Scale RC I've ever seen. Because I was huge into the bruisers, but like bruisers weren't really, they were like, I don't know, kind of like Masha truckish or like 80 show truckish. Like, but this thing actually like a real like scale truck, like something you would see like at like an off-road park or at the Rubicon or something. So that's how I ended up building my Chino clone. Let's see what else we got here. So we have.
Let me read some of the comments here, Mike, real quick, brother. It says,
go for it.
One of
yeah,
the
just cut me off if I'm talking too much.
No, you're good. Yeah, you're good. You're good. No, you're good. You're doing amazing, bro. Just real quick. So it's literally one of the best collections I ever seen. That's from Sergeant J. One of our guys.
Right. Thank you. Thank you.
This is like walking through an RC museum, Mr. Larry, another of our veterans. And Angie says you got a cool mom. So
yeah.
Ahead,
my parents are very cool.
Go ahead, Mike.
So let's see. Well, all right. So we have here, this is like one of the pinnacles of like not only just scale RC, but vintage RC. So this is an all original Tamiya Blazing Blazer. And this was the 1.3 speed that eluded me for years, like over 20 years. I couldn't afford it. I've had literally dozens of Tamiya Bruisers and Mountaineers, like over 3 dozen easily. And this one, when I saw this on eBay and it popped up, the price was right at the time. But what really drew me to this one is it actually came with, I have it here in the plastic, but inside here is the original sales receipt for when they bought the truck. So I just thought that was so cool that the guy held on to the sales receipt for like 30 something years. So yeah, original Blazing Blazer, really cool. This is a cool truck here that I wanted to bring this to UST this year, then I just kind of ran out of time. But this truck was built from a guy in Russia. So this is a completely scratch built styrene DJ20 4-door, and the interior on this thing, I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to see it, but like it's like hand sewn seats and everything. Wow. It's wild. Thing is totally sick. Trying to think what else here. So if anyone's watching that's fans of Josh Dutton and Rat Rods, so we've got a pretty cool Rat Rod wrecker tow truck in there. So that's pretty cool. And then I got a pretty cool another vintage Tamiya pickup here. Custom chrome chassis, TMS aluminum wheels. And then, oh wait, you guys guessed it, another Clodbuster. You have an original Toyota Hilux in there, Tamiya Hilux in there. This is a custom advanced engineering drag car with JPS aluminum wheels. Really rare Thunderbolt body that was painted by Ultra Hive. A big fan of Ultra Hive's paint. He does like all really cool old school paint jobs. Like, for example, this RC10T. He paints like, kind of like the old school, like stuff you would see like in car action. That would be done by like, Motion Graphics or Booker or somebody like that. Over here, we've got more part of my new goodness. So we got his awesome. His green Tacoma here, and then his Suburban. And then this is a new build I'm doing. This is an actual full-blown like bubble side Ford that Westmade did. Underneath this Motion Graphics buy that just came in. As you guys can see, I'm running out of room, but this is a Cherokee Chief that Sean Sally Customs did. So that's a really cool build. I've had that down at UST with me. Because I started with a Blackfoot, and actually I have a soft spot for Blackfoot. So we got a bunch of, custom Tamiya Blackfoots here. This has got like a full custom carbon chassis. This is a full custom chrome, parts kit, aluminum wheels. Up here, this was actually not too many people may even remember this, but before Traxxas did the Slash, Thunder Tech Racing was coming out with this like short course truck that they were gonna do, and they were like in development with it, and it's super scale. Like, so it's got like the legit like long travel front. It uses like a CC01 rear end. You can see like it's super like long traveled out, and they were Darren and Brad, very smart guys and all that. And what happened was they wanted to perfect the truck. But the problem is, and we all know this as being scale RC enthusiasts, it's hard to have something that's scale and work well. You usually have to compromise somewhere. And that, I think, was what they were battling. But what happened was they waited too long, and they had built up a significant amount of hype, and Traxxas pounced on that and came out with the Slash. And the Slash was also probably half the cost of what that thing was. Like, that was an expensive kit just for like chassis and stuff. So they kind of missed the mark on that. But I was fortunate. That was like one of their ones from like that they used for like at the iHobby shows and stuff. So I got that truck personally from Darren. And I actually have another one here that I had picked up, and I got a couple unpainted bodies and stuff. So I want to send those to someone that, if you're noticing a trend, I'm not a painter. This is my least favorite thing to do. I'll paint little tiny details. Like, I'll sit there and I'll detail an entire interior or something like that. But like the full paint jobs, I'm awful. They just always get messed up. I don't know what it is. It's so frustrating to me because I feel like I do so many other things so good. And then it comes to like that, and they just never come out. Or maybe I'm just too critical of myself. So big fan of like Lou at Ultra Hive. Like, I'll usually send stuff to him or other guys and have them paint it. So if anyone's into truck pulling or tractor pulling, we've got a bunch of really cool
that's awesome.
Like tractor pulling trucks here. I kind of got stuff all over the place, but this is a sled underneath here. This is a vintage Eliminator sled. You can see the weight box there. So this is like an actual NRCTPA regulated sled, 30 feet full pull. But yeah, so you got the pro stock tractors. You've got a four-wheel drive F350 like a pro truck, like four-wheel drive Pro Series truck, and then you've got like the garden tractor class. So these ones are smaller, and then you have like a two-wheel drive puller. And then before we were talking about Tim Miner King Cobra. So we've got a couple of Tim's Volkswagen builds there. You got this really cool purple bug and like a Summit drag racing body bug that he did. Those are really cool. And then on top here, so this is a really cool truck. This was what I did was I had went back through all my RC Car Action magazines, either hard copies I had or digital versions I had, and I ended up being like a real stalker, and I stalked all these people out that had cars and trucks in the magazine. I was like, "Do you still have this? And if you do, can I buy it?" And this truck was actually in Car Action. Well, the body was. It was in the I think the March 1993 issue, and I tracked the guy down through social media, and I hit him up like, and it's so random. I'm like, "Hey, are you this guy that built this truck 30 years ago? Like, do you still have this thing?" He's like, "Yeah, I have the body." So I bought. He agreed to sell me the body, and then I built the truck back up to the exact same spec that it was in the magazine. So that was really cool. This was a new build for this year as well. This was the a rollback tow truck that I had down at UST with me this year. So that was a really cool build. I scooped that like used from someone. It wasn't what it was supposed to be. I had to like basically rebuild the entire truck. It was a little bit of a mess, but it came out really good. This is something. This is gonna be like.
Could you try again?
What? I don't know. Is it my watch wigging out? Might be. So this is a clodbuster I'm working on. This is gonna be like my holy grail of clodbusters, and I'm done. This truck's called Fool's Gold. And it's got vintage Technocraft wheels on it, vintage trainee shocks, aluminum JPS gearboxes. This is like not even exaggerating. By today's values and prices, by the time this truck is done, that's gonna be like a $10,000 clodbuster for what the parts are selling for currently. Because the wheels alone would sell for like probably about $2,500 to $3,000 just for the wheels right now. The last set of 8 shocks sold for $900, and there's 16 of them on there. So when that thing's done, it's gonna be like my holy grail clodbusters. This was from, so again, in terms of preserving collections and things, unfortunately the hobby suffered another loss a couple years back now, and that was Jim. He went by Show Dog on the Tamiya Club forums, which is somewhere I've belonged to for a very long time now as well, probably over 20 years. And Jim had a fantastic collection, some of the rarest of rare RC stuff. Like he had, for example, he had a Tamiya Sand Scorcher with an MIP four-wheel drive conversion kit, and I think MIP said they only ever made, I think, like 6 of those kits. He actually had one. So Jim had a ton of super rare stuff, and through AM Pro, which does, like, if you guys are familiar with him, he does a lot of like 3D print stuff, like better, more accurate light lenses and stuff for RC four-wheel drive cars and trucks. And he does a lot of like for vintage Tamiya trucks, like suspension improvements and stuff. So friendly, and he knows that I have a really crazy Blackfoot, Technocraft wheels and all that stuff. And he hit me up and he was like, hey, I know of another Blackfoot that's going to possibly be for sale. He's like, do you know who Show Dog is? And I'm like, yeah, that Jim, he passed away a couple years ago. And he was like, yeah, well, his son, unfortunately, is going to be selling. He has to sell some of the collection, and that Blackfoot's up for sale. So this is the Blackfoot. And again, this is probably one of the nicest trucks in my collection. I mean, the paint on this, everything that Jim had, the paint was like just beautiful. So it's like a candy red over a silver base. Technocraft wheels, sassy chassis, aluminum roll bar, full CCP kit, just absolutely gorgeous truck. So I was able to obtain that. So I got that, and then I also got Jim's. This is like an old school RC four drive. Actually made a Sanrail chassis like this, but this was actually, they based it off of John Boyer's chassis. So this is actually one of John Boyer's Sanrail chassis, like an original. So I was able to get that from his son as well. And then I also have Jim's Clodbuster, which is another, it's currently.
Was that the chassis that connected to a Slash?
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Oh.
That's the one yep. There was a whole Slash, rear gearbox and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
I've been searching for those. I can't.
Yeah, they're super cool. They're actually they're pretty pricey now. Like if you could find them, like I've seen a couple of them pop up on like the Facebook pages, and they go for quite a bit of money. So I was pretty stoked to be able to get this one, just not only because it's a Sanrail and they're cool, and like that's the one thing I have by me here on the island. We have the beach, so like during the summer I like to go roost the trucks on the beach. But the fact that it was from Jim's collection and then it's an actual Boyer made it really cool. And I'm going to try to carefully step through here. So again, like we're talking about being a full-size car enthusiast, I just had my R32 GTR repainted, and I brought it back home from the body shop, and I was probably, what most people thought I was going to be doing was reassembling the car. But instead I completely dismantled the car even more because I'm like a perfectionist. And the aluminum fenders to the car, you can't get those from Nissan anymore. So I took them off the car, and they're placed carefully down here so nothing happens to them because they're freshly painted and all that stuff. So it's a little crowded down here at the moment. But in this showcase here, so on the bottom here, we talk about like King Cobra before. That's his 57 Chevy. And that is, so if you had to ask me what my favorite cars are or trucks in the collection, or people always say like, oh, if you only keep 2. So if it was one car and one truck, without a doubt, that 57 Chevy is my favorite car in the collection. And then that purple Clodbuster I showed you guys earlier, the purple People Eater, that's my all-time favorite truck. So those are my 2 favorites.
Mike. There's a question there close, kind of close to that. Let me see here. Larry
Okay.
asked it earlier. Let me see. I can find it. Said,
Sure.
he says, Larry says, we're getting a virtual tour through a museum. Is
Yeah.
there
Yes.
is there a unicorn you haven't been able to get your hands on?
Yes. So for me, the unicorn, for me, for as far as trucks would go, the unicorn for me would be a clodbuster called Prima Donna, and it was built by a guy that's actually local to me on the island. His name is Steve Levine, and Steve was a phenomenal builder, and he had two very custom clodbusters that he built back in the very early '90s. And Steve is one of those guys that I tracked down during my hunt for stuff. Steve, though, they're not for sale. It's not for sale, I should say. I did reconnect with Steve finally in person. I'd found Steve before COVID, and we were going to try to sync up, and he's a full-size car enthusiast like I am, and it just never really panned out. And then through COVID, he kind of started dabbling back in RC again. And after COVID and everything else, like, we're kind of like online friends now. And when I was down at USTE, I think it was last year when I had the slightly altered clodbuster down there, and Lee from RC Car Action, he's like one of their like head honchos there at the magazine. He was like, "Hey, there's this other clodbuster. I want to know if you know its whereabouts." It was on the magazine. And before he even finished the sentence, I'm like, "You mean Prima Donna?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, it exists still." And he was like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I know. The guy's local to me." So he's like, "See if he wants to do a follow-up." So Steve is a pretty private guy. But I was very fortunate, and that I was able to, talk with him and everything else. And I ended up that you could read about it in RC Car Action magazine about Behemoth and Prima Donna. But if there's any RC truck that I would absolutely love to have, that I just feel like is like my unobtainium, it would be Prima Donna. And it's a clodbuster. It's got a tilt bed. It's actually got like a dancing bed. It's got opening doors, tilt hood. It has a sound kit. And this is a truck that was built in the early '90s, and it's super scale for the time period. It actually has like LED lights in the like the Palmer headers that stick out, and they illuminate in the proper firing order of a real Hemi engine when the truck's running. So
That's awesome.
super, if you think about a truck that was built so long ago and is that ahead of itself, just incredible. So that would be my absolute unicorn. And it wasn't for a lack of trying. I literally told Steve when I went out there to do the article that I would remortgage my house if he would sell me the truck. But he wasn't about it. But like once I got there and like, seeing the trucks in person, I could see why he doesn't want to sell. Like his wife's name is like hand painted on the door and stuff. And the other truck has a whole tribute to his late mother on the back of the cab and stuff. So you're talking about trucks that are, extremely sentimental and stuff. And there probably is no price ever to be put on something like that. And I have to respect that. And he knows that, like, if he ever did, like, I would hope that he would allow me to, continue to preserve them and be able to share them with the world, because they're probably two of the, baddest built clodbusters ever, so yeah, those two would be my unicorn for sure. Yep.
That is crazy. That's another question on RC Supremacy. Brad says,
What's up, Brad?
how often do you dust everything, Mike? I could imagine
Well,
that is a
well,
mission.
I'm sure you guys have seen, if like the people that are looking closely, I am way overdue for dusting. I was showing you guys like the drag cars before. I was like, oh man, it's really dusty right now. So yeah, dusting is definitely is hard, especially with the more scale ones, because like they're fragile. So an air duster is my friend. But yeah, I'm definitely due for a dusting without a doubt. Yeah. So I'm trying to think. Let's see. So we're almost at the end of the tour here. So it's a little bit hard to step in here again because we got trucks all over the floor here. We got another custom Blackfoot, another custom Clodbuster, another custom Blackfoot with a vintage Clodbuster wheel adapter kit on it down there. But in this showcase here, you can see the famous Twister truck, which is that's like a fan favorite. You have a really cool F350 that was built quite some time ago by a gentleman in Canada, and has probably one of the most accurate snow plows I've ever seen done. And that truck is just awesome. My Kyosho Blizzard that I did up as like a, after my job as like a sheriff's office thing, like a search and rescue truck. You got an old, custom Wrangler build up there, custom TJ build, little Samurai build. That's one of those the Speedway PAL bodies from back in the day. And then, in this case here, this is another one of Richard's builds. This is a completely scratch built Iron Pig. This truck here, this is actually like an 89 Toyota based pickup. And it's similar done to like what Blake Metal Masher does. So the fender, the bed sides, the hood is all hand like formed aluminum. And the cab was completely scratch built. That was done by a guy in the UK on scale 4x4. And he had offered it to me to buy it. I don't even know. It was a long time ago, like over 10 years ago. And at the time, he wanted like $2,400 for it. And I just could not afford that. And then it was kind of one of those things where I felt like it was like the one that got away, So before the forum ultimately disappeared, and thank God I did it when I did it, because it just disappeared one day. They stopped paying their hosting or whatever. I sent him an email through the message form, and he answered it. And he's like, "Yeah, I still have it." He's like, "I haven't messed with it since like my college days. Like, it's just sitting in my closet." And I was able to strike a deal on the fact that it was me from all the way back then when he had originally offered it to me, knowing that I was like a serious collector. He was just so pumped that I still remembered the truck, because he's been following where RC has gone. And he's like, obviously I don't think it's worth what it was worth then, which actually he didn't know, but I was prepared to pay that price then at this point now, because I was like, I'm not letting it get away again. But he was able to do like hook me up with a deal. So that's a truck that like when I finish, that's gonna be like hopefully like a UST like winner at some point. That thing is
awesome.
super sick. So like that's like really one of a kind. Some of the other fan favorites, like you got like the Camaros and stuff. So those, again, that's like a Tim Miner King Cobra inspired build originally. And then that particular one's got a custom tube chassis built by Dan Looney Bin that bought the car from someone that bought the car from Tim, but that's actually Tim's original body. And then I have Tim's original chassis. It's down here with this black Camaro body, which was RC10 based. So yeah, I've got those. And I'm a huge third gen Camaro fan. I grew up riding around an IROC Z that my uncle had, 305 T-tops, SLP, everything, and we used to just drive around blasting Madonna with the SLP roaring. He was an old school Italian guy. He had the leather racing gloves and everything, and like I thought I was like the coolest like 8-year-old kid ever, like riding around this thing. So I'm nostalgic like that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so that's pretty much. I think I kind of covered everything. There's a lot. I mean, I could be missing something.
That F350 body, is that a hard body? That red one?
The red one, yes, yeah, and that was
that's a loop body, isn't it?
No, that was actually, so the guy, I don't know how close I can get with everything in here, but this body's done like flawlessly, and that truck was built I think in like 2010, and that's actually 2 Juggernaut bodies that were combined together. And the guy did a flawless job. Like it looks like a loops body. Yeah, that's how well it's done. Yeah, he did a fantastic job on it. That was a very expensive truck, which I guess you're probably touching that. So people, and my fiance, she breaks my chops, that people, see the full size cars and then see the basement, and there's this, she jokes that there's obviously they think that there's like this misconception that I'm rich, and I can assure you guys, I'm not rich. This is nearly 30 years in the making, and is not without much due credit to many of the either the builders or the original owners or whatever it was. People have always worked with me in terms of like, like that red snowplow truck. When I bought that was a $1,200 truck. That's a lot of money. I mean, I don't care who you are, like, $1,200, $1,200. But like when I bought that truck, he allowed me to pay like payments on it. So I paid it off. And Richard's done that for me. I would have to say, I think part of my noob's done that for me on probably just about everything that I've bought from him. When you're talking like, his MFAB Tacoma, that was a $1,500 truck. The Suburban was a $1,500 truck. And they're like, I don't argue Richard's prices. He's like, hey, do you want this? Are you interested in it? And I'm like, yes. What is it? And he'll give me the price. And I'm like, okay, can I throw you this much now and this much in like 2 weeks and so on and so forth. And I'm fortunate that I've earned that respect with a lot of these guys that they're willing to do that for me, because if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have probably half of what I have. So I find myself extremely fortunate and extremely grateful that these guys, that I've earned that respect and that reputation where like I pay my bills, I guess you could say. And it's allowed me to, I buy something and, pay it a little as I go, or sometimes, I might have to part with something else, to fund, the next big thing or the next best thing. But that's how the collection's grown to be, what is say, this wasn't something that just happened overnight by any means.
So kind of an off the wall question with a collection of that value. Do you justify that to your home insurance company that's in your basement?
So that's, it's funny. That's actually a very realistic thing that I actually a friend of mine just turned me on to a company recently. And that's actually something I need to do, because that is actually a real, concern of mine, is that, I'm going to say I would estimate the collection to be, upwards of 100,000. If we're being conservative and you figure each truck is worth roughly, let's just say 1,000, you know what I mean? And there's 130 of them, you know what I mean? That's a lot, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I do actually just found a company, that will, allow me to do a declared value policy. So I have to do that. I have to actually, it's one of those things where like, we're not talking about, 10, 15 trucks here. It's 130 trucks. So I have to call them and see how I have to go about this. I don't know if it's just gonna be as simple as saying, hey, I want to insure for X and this is the premium, or if they're going to want like pictures of every truck, because I was trying to do it one other time. And the problem is when you're this far down the rabbit hole is they want receipts, and some of the stuff, I don't have receipts for because I've had it for so long. And then two, some of the stuff is so long out of production and so far discontinued that there is no real proof of value. So it's like, how do you even show what that's worth?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So that's definitely, that's something that a friend of mine just a couple weeks back was like, hey, he has a very serious Clodbuster collection like mine. And he was like, I'm going to do this. They seem really easy to work with. So it's been on my to-do list because it's way long overdue. But that's something that's part of adulting, I guess we should say. Definitely needs to happen, because it would be, I don't even like to think about, God forbid, something happening, because forget even my stuff, just everyone else's stuff. That would be unspeakable distress. I couldn't even fathom that, there's stuff here that's just truly not replaceable and just invaluable. Something like like King Cobra's 57 Chevy. Not only is it my favorite RC car, but there is no price for that car. And to give you guys an example, last year at UST, there was a guy that came up to the booth, and I struggle with the booth thing because I guess I'm not the most people persons from time to time. I don't know if it's my line of work or whatever, but like, I like people that are, like-minded like me, or like, you like toy trucks. Okay, let's be friends. But the booth thing's sometimes a struggle because, Rob asked me to do the booth, to just, as like helping to, support the event. And earlier on, it was to like kind of like help with the vendor row and keep it filled out when the event was first growing. And now I obviously do it each year. And I love meeting and talking to people. Actually, like, quick side note, and I do this, I'm sorry, I go off on tangents, but really cool, just like speaking to the booth. So a guy came up to me this year and he pulled out this Matchbox car that looks just like Two Rad. And he was like, I saw your truck last year and I remembered this Matchbox truck, like pretty closely resembling it. And he gave it to me this year. So I thought that was like super cool. And I love people like that. Like, I think that's awesome. Like, that's what I love being at the RC events for. But then the flip side is you have sometimes guys, like the story I was leading into, where a guy came out to the table and he sees the 57 Chevy, which is like a fan favorite, the tilt hood and everything. And he's like, I want to buy this. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, actually nothing here is for sale. Like, I'm just a supporter of the event. I guess like a hobby ambassador. I don't really know what you want to call me. Like, I just like to share my stuff with people. It's cool. And I like to talk toy trucks. So like, it's not for sale, but like, I'll gladly tell you guys. Like, so instantly he's like, yo, everything's for sale for the right price. And then I'm just like, and I'm like, yeah, well, not that one. He's like, nah, if I walked over with 15 grand, slammed down the table, you'd sell me this car. And I was like, no, absolutely not, man. No. And then like my fiance's like, Mike, you can't talk to people like that. And I'm like, no, that car is not for sale. Not for any price ever. And she calls me when I like mow out like that. She's like, oh, Monster Mike came out. So yeah, like it's tough because and I get that a lot, and I understand you have to ask, but like I don't know, I like to think that sometimes asking is one thing, but you kind of got to tote that line of respect. And I've always felt like I've always tried to do that. Again, even with like Steve Levine's trucks, like when I went and met him, I asked him, like we joked, like I said, about like remortgaging the house, but then like after speaking with him and seeing what was on the trucks, like I let it go. Like it was a dead end situation. Like I wasn't going to hassle him and stuff. And even with like, Jim Show Dogs collection, when I was dealing with his son, when I got the Blackfoot and a couple of the other things, I was really like, I felt weird because like, here's a kid that, 20-year-old kid, his dad passed away. This is what his dad has, unfortunately had, is what was left to him is this collection. And like, I don't know what he wants to keep and doesn't want to keep. And, I don't want to pry, so it's like, I've always been like weird with that. But I've also learned over the years though, too, is that you have to at least ask. And if the answer is no, then I'm like, okay, like, cool, no problem. You know what I mean? Like I'll respect that boundary, So, yeah.
I
So-
see.
We
I
have
see,
a couple of. Go ahead, Nick.
Question. I see RC supremacy. That's a fantastic question. Mike, do you know anyone that you follow or admire that has a collection similar to yours, to size and worth?
Yeah, so actually there's a couple of people that come to mind. One of my best like online buddies and a personal friend. Like this is a guy that I because of the online stuff like forums, we've actually gotten together and hung out. And that would be my buddy Cole Kamensky. He's got a fantastic collection, monster truck collection, vintage clodbuster collection. My friend Dan Wyatt, he has a absolutely insane collection. Many like that MRP high rollers from Dan. Dan has trucks that are in cars that are just impeccable. Some of the drag cars suffer from Dan. My friend Brian from Space Ghost Customs, his clodbuster collection. There's actually probably more guys than I could even think of off the top of my head. I mean, there's a lot of people that I have a lot of great respect for. Like I said, I don't really view myself as being like a who's who. That's just, I don't know. I think that there's a lot of other people that are way more talented and everything else. And I have a great respect for all those guys. I have a great respect for anyone that, that could do it and does it like, like Josh, like Dunton, like, to be able to build toy trucks and do that as like, what he does every day like that. I think that's awesome. I mean, I love building toy trucks, but I don't think I could do it as like a business. That's a tremendous amount of work, all the social media and the videos and stuff that go into it. But I have a lot of great respect for a lot of guys, and I came up with a lot of guys. Like I look at someone like Josh Harley Designs, like Josh and I came from the RC crawler forums, and when Josh was a traffic light engineer, that's what he did before. And obviously now he's a the guy at Vanquish or whatever, however you want to consider it. But like I tested one of Josh's first scout chassis, the X Trail, for when the original AX10 came out. Back in like 07 or whatever. So there's quite a few guys that that have great collections. And not everyone too I guess is into like displaying them like I do or showing them off like I do. Like I like to, I don't know, I guess I just like to share the stuff because it, like when other people then share with me what they're doing, it's inspiring and like you learn new things and stuff like that. So like that's kind of why I like to do it. It kind of gives everyone ideas to bounce off of each other. And I've connected and made a lot of, friends with all kinds of really cool people. all over the country, all over the world now at this point over the last 30 years. And, you know, these people have contributed in more ways than one. You know, there's a couple of guys on like Instagram that like were instrumental in like, you know, two rad, you know, someone actually made me like the old school wiper blades that were like the double wiper blades. There's really you know, crappy wipers that did not clean the window, but they're on every old school show truck. And then you have the little wiper arm booty, like he actually drew and designed those for me. And then even like the shifters, like with shock boots on them, because that was like an old school show truck thing to do. So there's, there's a lot of people that I admire, you know, the machinist guys, painters, you know, there's a lot of people who have a tremendous amount of respect for, and the hobby guys that I feel that are, you know, a bazillion times more talented than me. And there's guys that have what I think are, you know, 10 times the collection I have. You know, I think the collection I have is maybe not as, you know, maybe diverse as some other people. Like, you know, I look at some of these guys that belong to a bunch of pages and they'll have like, you know, a collection. They have a, you know, like every, you know, Tamiya buggy ever made. And like, and that, I think that's cool. But like for me, like, as you guys can see, like clodbusters, Toyota trucks, so, you know, I kind of stick to a handful of things that I really like. And that's kind of, you know, what the majority of the collection is made up as, you know.
That's awesome.
And I think there's another one. I think they're trying to give you advice, Mike, on the policies. Umbrella policy for $1 million. Have to have photos of each one.
Okay.
So they're trying to give you advice on those.
No, listen, I appreciate that because that's definitely something that's on my to-do list. It's gone long enough without having that. And it's definitely something I need to work on within the next, you know, coming weeks or months or whatever. I got to get done before the end of this year. So anyone I can't see the comment box with being on the phone, but anyone that has advice to offer, I'll go back and look at it later. And I definitely appreciate the help on that. I'm open ears when it comes to stuff like that, because that's not within my purview by any means. So thank you.
And then RC supremacy.
Yeah.
Did you ever in a million years think you'd have an RC collection worth more than your 1-to-1 GTR?
Yeah, so it's funny. So I actually did, when we talk about like the collection and the GTR, I had done a show a while back. It was called Live at 9:45 with this guy Adam Vanard, and he would kind of do similar to like what you guys do.
Yes.
He'd bring people on that were names, and what was funny about Adam and I is Adam and I, when I talked about earlier about ruffling feathers, I had actually got into it with Adam over this whole clear wheel debacle. That's a whole long story, but we are now long over that. We became friendly and stuff, and he understood where I was coming from, I understood where he's coming from. But it's funny. So he had asked me, kind of similar to what you guys did, that, you know, he had asked like, what's the truck that you would want? And it hasn't changed. It's always been that prima donna truck. And then he kind of posed a question like, what would you be doing if you weren't into RC? And being a full size car enthusiast, one of my dream cars was to have a Skyline or a GTR. And I actually had a blue Skyline first, and then I sold that one and then bought the GTR then, and now that's been like a crazy ongoing project now.
Let me see. I want to see. This is one of our veterans. He looked for some of these pictures, Mike. Look at this right here.
Yep, that is the truck. That is my holy grail.
Right here, some pictures here.
That is it.
That's awesome, man. That's so
That
cool.
is awesome. There's about a million. There's a ton of questions that I know I personally have, and it's already 10 o'clock.
oh God, is it? Whoops! Like I said, this may have been a two-parter.
That's what the guys were saying on the chat. We need to do a two-part show on this one.
Yeah,
I'm down. You guys let me know. We could run it back.
We'll definitely have part 2. That is for certain.
Right on.
Yeah, because there's definitely, I mean, you got so much going on with different interiors, different, we got to show two rad. We got to go through all this stuff because
Okay.
there's just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
much there. And that, my one question I have to ask is, you have all these vintage vehicles. Do you have a closet full of vintage two-stick radios to go with them still?
No, I do not, and for a while I did, and I guess probably about a year or two ago, I finally purged them, and it was really just because I have, as you guys could see, I have no more room. Like the wife to be super supportive. She's like, I don't care, you buy, you work hard, you spend your money on what you want to spend it on, but she's like, but babe, like there's no more room down there. There's none. And I'm like, ugh, she's got a point. So yeah, there was a little bit of a purge a while back, and it kind of killed me to do it because they worked too. Like that was the part. But also at the same token, like when I did the slightly altered article, like I put all the exact same equipment in it, like a Novak 610 speed controller and the vintage Trinity motors. And I have run the truck, but I ran it with like, my Spectrum radio bound to it because you just can't risk, the old crystal frequencies having a meltdown, and the thing going 50 feet away from you and it pegging full throttle. So yeah, no, I had to purge. The one thing is I definitely have the modern radios for sure.
I had to know. I was like, man, is there a closet somewhere? Just fine.
There'd be a lot. You would need a whole closet for itself for sure.
That's awesome. I've been posting on the chat so the guys can follow Mike YouTube channel, also the Facebook page and the Instagram as well, guys.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I know some of the guys that was asking about that, and definitely, Mike, we need to bring you back, brother.
Super.
As you guys can see, I love talking toy trucks. I chewed up 2 hours real quick, apparently.
Bro, let me tell you something, Mike. You make our job very easy tonight, so I appreciate it, man. And,
right on.
And I love the everything from the build to the going back in time, the RC crawler forum. So I mean, just you have a lot there that's super awesome to show everybody that a lot of the stuff that a lot of people don't even know existed and when it started. So
we've come a long way, and I'm fortunate to kind of be, especially when it comes to like this scale and the crawling side. But I was there, like RCC started in 2004, and I joined basically. I had lurked in 2004 because anyone that remembers the forum, it was like a mini pirate. So I was a little intimidated to join it. I thought they're going to eat me alive, but I joined in early 2005, and I've been able to. It's cool because I've been able to witness the trend of how it's all gone, since then, from, where we really only had 2.2s to, now you have every wheel size, and 3D printing. It's like the sky's the limit now, as opposed to when when I started doing it, we were super limited. A lot of guys were like, just, like everyday Joes as vendors that would, crank stuff out on the weekends, like in their shop and, in their garage and stuff. So I've been fortunate to be there from like the start to now, and it's cool to see the progression of it as how it's gone.
Definitely, brother. I want to say, Mike, thank you for what you do for the RC community, man. For you bring all that stuff, all that knowledge, also and experience, man. And also for what you do, man. Thank you for your service, right?
I appreciate that. Thank you.
That means a lot to us, brother. So
yeah, I thank you guys for having me. Like I said, I love doing stuff like this. I think your guys' organization, I see what you guys do, and I know how I got into the hobby, and I think what you guys are doing for people, I think it's a great thing, and you guys do amazing work yourselves. So thank you for having me. I look forward to part 2.
Well, hang on here. Don't go nowhere just yet. We'll say our proper goodbyes after the show is all over with.
Real quick, it's gonna take a few minutes. We start saying, I think we had some. What happened to those pics, Nate? I only have one.
They should be in your Facebook, both of them.
Okay, let me see here. I want to show something. Go ahead, Nate. You can start talking about.
This is Scale Metal Supplies. For anybody unaware, he is coming up to his 4-year anniversary. So he is. Of course, Scale Metal Supplies, Andre has always supported us here. But what he's doing is use code BUILD IT for 15% off any order placed before Wednesday. So you only have another basically 2 days to do this. Any order placed before Wednesday is entered into a giveaway. So all you got to do now, what is included in this? All the objects are not, but you see this tire holder, this tire rack that the tires are on, that is part of the giveaway. We'll pull back them other pictures, Javier. And the actual the table that is the shop table is included in the giveaway. So all the extra stuff there is not. It's just the shop table. And then the flex ramp, the very first picture there, the flex ramp, that is included. So just use code BUILD IT and 15% off your order, plus you'll get entered to win. So that's all Scale Metal Supplies. So not only are you getting awesome products, but you're also getting a discount and a chance to win a giveaway.
Yeah, definitely. We thank Andre, right, that always helping out our organization take care of our veterans, man. Means a lot to us and our first responders as well, right? So thank you so much, Andre, as well. Again, I cannot stress enough. Thank you to the guys from Texas Crawl Fest 2023, San Antonio RC Crawlers, and the Alamo Hobby Shop there. Everybody that help us out, make our veterans feel comfortable, right? Thank you, Nick, for taking our guys to the trails for the first time ever, right? They had a blast, and they're looking forward to go next year. So, a very special weekend with meeting new veterans, meeting Steve-O's mom, all that stuff, and all our guys there from Texas Crawl Fest. Thank you so much for the support. And do we have anything for next Monday, brother?
We'll keep an eye out on social media for next Monday.
Got you. People, we have Beat the Creek coming up. We're gonna have around 20 of our guys there. And so we're looking forward to it, meeting the people out there in our booth. There are gonna be a few raffles going on at the same time. We have a raffle from Scale Metal Supplies. Nice build that he did. That I gotta send it to Nathan tomorrow. Nathan said, "Don't," and make sure to send it to Javier. Make it here. So this is this awesome build that
Wow. That's sweet.
what's his name? Scale Metal
It is
Supplies.
awesome.
Yeah, so this is gonna be raffle off on Beat the Creek. Thank you to Brad Geck, Element RC, My Trick RC, and Andre for this amazing build. So, and
And
that's
that
all.
thing is absolutely sick in person. The camera does not do that one justice either.
Yeah. So, and also we're gonna have another raffle that we show the pics again. Amazing job from with a scale rat Robert. So we got that going on. There's another one's gonna be happening in a Reef RC booth as well. So we're gonna have more details on that as we get close to Beat the Creek. Anyway, so on that note, let me see here. Welcome. Thank you for being here. For being here and hanging out with us. Again, it was a special weekend hanging out with some of our veterans there from Texas. Can't wait to go back. So let's start saying our goodbyes. Here, Nate. Is Nate here?
Yep. Just thank you all for joining us another Monday. Mike, it was absolutely a blast having you on here. Thank you for joining us. Everyone have a safe week. Enjoy the hobby. Get out. As of course, The weather's getting nice everywhere, so just be careful. Watch your steps. Slithery snakes are out there as well. You don't want to get bit by one of those. So just be safe out there. Have fun. Enjoy the hobby for all it has to offer. And see you all next Monday for another amazing show.
Yes, definitely. Robert,
Hey, everybody that's in the chat, I want to thank you all for coming in, paying us a visit, fully supporting us. You're all amazing. We love you very much. Everybody that's in the panel, I love you guys. Mike, I've been a fan of yours for a really long time.
Thank you.
Your collection is just, oh man, like, no, we definitely need to have a second show. There's so many other questions.
Yes.
There's some stuff I want to see.
All right,
Yeah.
right on.
Dude, I'm totally stoked. We need to schedule that. So Nate, I need
Right
you
on.
on that. All right.
In about
Yeah.
5 minutes, if that'll happen.
definitely. Real quick, I want to say prayers, Dorham Reality Prayers, my brother. That man, welcome. I see there, Vince Vargas, my brother, welcome. Good to see you here, man. Thank you for joining us. Bennett.
It's gonna be nice everywhere this week except for Wyoming. They're calling for snow for the rest of the week. So no crawling for me. Mike, thank you for showing that amazing collection. Please thank your fiance for allowing you to spend the evening with us
I will.
instead of her. We know family time is precious,
Absolutely.
and you spent your family
Absolutely.
time with us instead of her. So please pass the thank you on to her as well.
Will do.
And I can't wait for part 2. Everybody else
Right
have a
on.
safe, great week. Smash that thumbs up on the way out.
Thank you guys. Thank you, everybody. Mikey, you want to say goodbye to the people here watching?
Yeah, of course. Just thank you for everyone tuning in. I love talking toy trucks. I don't have too many people here locally to connect with on this type of level. So anytime I'm afforded the opportunity to get out there and talk with other like-minded enthusiasts, especially with a group of guys like yourselves that do they're doing great work for the community and everything. So thank you for everyone for tuning in, listening to me, ramble on, and thank you to all the the sponsors and stuff that work with you guys and stuff. Obviously, those guys make all this stuff possible. I'd like to thank my personal sponsors, RC4 Drive, GCM, anyone else who supports me. The fans, without the fan base, I would just be another guy in the hobby. So everyone that likes the Instagram stuff and the YouTube stuff and the everything else in between, all my Florida peeps and West Coast peeps, everyone that all the great friends and stuff that I've made from this hobby. I thank everyone, and just everyone have a good night, be safe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one for sure.
Well said, brother. Thank you, everybody, for the support that you guys give us every Monday. Thank you, everybody that goes to events and support our veterans and our organization and take the time to join us, spend time with us and talking to us. We really appreciate you. Safe out there. We'll see you next Monday. Peace.